Good morning, Mr. Mayor and members of the Wichita City Council. My name is John Todd. I live at 1559 Payne here in Wichita. I'm here to discuss the Waterwalk project with you this morning and suggest that you delay action on the letter of intent until a public hearing has been held, allowing citizens to thoroughly vet this project. I am not opposed to downtown development. I am opposed to private-public partnerships that require massive infusions of public money and are structured in a manner to protect the profits of the private sector developers and leaves massive amounts of risk and potential losses and exposure to the public treasury. The letter of intent you are considering today indicates that the City of Wichita entered into an agreement with the Waterwalk developers in September of 2002. At that time, I obtained and read a preliminary copy of that agreement in which our City Council leased approximately 20 acres East Bank property to the developers for $1 a year for 99 years, with a subordination clause that allowed the developers to place first mortgage financing on improvements to the property, leaving the publicly owned land in second position to any mortgage and subject to foreclosure action in the event of a default by the developer. The lease in itself was a killer deal for the developers, particularly with the subordination clause, and a horrible deal for the taxpayers. In 2002, the 20-acre parcel should have been advertised far and wide and sold to the highest bidder for cash and placed back on the tax rolls with no promise of subsidies of any kind. I can't imagine that this property would not have sold for several dollars per square foot. That action would have left future city councils out of the real estate development business with money back in the public treasury and with a choice and expensive parcel of land back on the tax rolls. And now, after receiving 20 acres of land for practically free, and according to an article published in the Wichita Eagle, $41 million of taxpayer subsidy, the developers or their assigns and your staff are back in front of the City Council today asking for more public stimulus money without the benefit of extensive public hearings. Shouldn't the Waterwalk developers be subsidizing this project out of this $41 million in stimulus money they have already received from the city taxpayers? As public stewards, I would ask that you delay the approval of the letter of intent you are considering today until there's been adequate public input and everyone's questions and concerns have been fully addressed. Thank you.
Question for John.
Councilman Gregg.
Jeff brings up a good question, and not that I disagree with you, but I just need you to explain yourself better. I mean, how much vetting does the public do on this? I mean, on a project like this, when you talk about more time, we have people here in favor and we have people here against. But having known a history of the people that are here speaking today, the people here that are for it will be for it in 2 or 3 months, and the people here that are against it, less 1 or 2 individuals that I haven't seen before, are going to be against it in 2 months. I don't see any of you changing your mind one way or the other. When Congress does something like adopt a 1,000-page law into the books that costs trillions of dollars and do that over a weekend that they don't see it, that's one thing. But this is a singular project that we have known about for several months. And as representatives, you know, we have been doing our due diligence and we have been doing our vetting. So I'm just trying to, I mean, this isn't a public vote kind of deal like the arena, which did in itself take many months to get as much information out as possible, and it still barely passed at a 50-50 vote. I mean, so it's not like we're keeping this in a secret, but this is operating on the same time frame of which we typically operate, and that's what I'm just trying to understand is what about this would change, or what about this do you see changing? Because I don't see you changing your opinion on this.
Well, I'm not opposed to downtown development. I suppose that the part that you know, there are some philosophical differences. Mm-hmm. There are those of us who think that the free market really should be the driving force. And when you look around our town, you look at 21st and Mays, you look at 13th and Webb Road, and you see the massive amounts of development and expanding the tax base and the creation of jobs that's being done by our private sector. And then you see projects downtown that actually compete with businesses that locate in the waterfront in Newmarket Square, and you begin to ask the question, why does our government place us in a situation where our own businesses have to compete on an unlevel playing field? And perhaps this is an issue that needs to be publicly debated with a moderator from the press, and because I think the whole downtown issue, I think if you look at it's what's happening, there are tea parties taking place. The public is not happy with the stimulus package from Washington, D.C. In fact, if you'll notice, I call this a stimulus package because, you know, when I look at local government, I see local government as a microcosm of the federal government, and the massive amounts of shifting of money, and we stimulate one group and to the exclusion of another. And is this the American process that's created the prosperity and wealth for this country? I don't think so. And and so yes, it deserves public vetting, I think, extensively before you spend dollars. It's interesting to me to note today, I was in a meeting and I think the city manager was talking about a 15-to-1, and we were talking about 1.77 to 1 ratio today. That's unacceptable. I'll let you talk to the manager or visit with him about how the TIFs are performing. It's been about a 1-to-1 ratio, I think he said. He spoke at the Pachyderm Club, and he said this year it may be less than 1-to-1. As a citizen, I am very concerned about this. And I think as public stewards, you should be concerned about it too, sir. And I'm not picking on you, but I mean, I think you have a responsibility. Part of that responsibility is transparency, and if transparency requires that you hold public meetings, and let's send this to the DABs, let's hold a public debate on downtown, and let's have a moderator from the press. And let's find out where the people stand on it. I think that's fair.
Well, I appreciate your concerns, and I didn't take it personally because you know I'm probably one of the larger critics up here on topics such as this. But at the same time, you know, it's just a very complicated issue, and I don't disagree with you. But as far as the issue of financial incentives, I don't know if many people are aware of this, but the city of Wichita has been offering financial incentives since the 1870s.
Right.
To spur business and growth. It's not a new thing that just happened, and it's at the heart of what helped this city grow and prosper beyond when it could have been Park City or Newton or nowhere around here.
Right.
But it's not a unique feature. And I don't disagree with the competition clauses being created between East and West. But I don't want to drag this out too long.
If you look at this local government as a microcosm of what goes on the state and the national level, the question I would ask, are you happy with the massive amounts of debt that's being built up? The massive amounts of regulation that's coming from Washington, D.C. They control the amount of water that I can flush my toilet. I mean, are we killing the goose that laid the golden egg? And I think we need to be cognizant of this, and I think we need to examine this and determine which road that we want to take. And maybe Wichita, Kansas, USA can be different than Oklahoma City. Maybe we could have less taxes, less regulation, and maybe we could become a mecca and an example for the rest of the country on uplift. I love growth and uplift. I love seeing what's happening on the waterfront. Waterfront developers are doing it with their own dime. They have skin in the game. They're creating jobs. They're expanding the tax base. They tell me that their tenants
let's go ahead and wrap it up a little bit.
$8 to $10 a square foot. And they're competing with people downtown that are not paying their fair share.
I visited with those gentlemen as well. So.
Thank you.